Welcome to Mistrial After Dark. It's a bite-sized version of the hit podcast Mistrial. Listen to me, Karen Friedman Agnifilo, and Kathleen Rice talk about the Tanya Chutkan Jack Smith case and why is Donald Trump so desperate to keep all of this material from you before the election. Stay tuned. We do have to talk about the update in the Jan 6 case because there was a filing this morning, kind of a desperate filing by Donald Trump to stop Jack Smith from dumping the giant amount of evidence that he has. Don't forget that there's this immunity determination that Tanya Chutkan, the district court judge overseeing that case, has to determine because of the United States Supreme Court, right? The Supreme Court basically said, hey, you guys, you need to make a better record. There is no record about what he might be immune from and what he's not immune from, partly because there was no such thing as presidential immunity from criminal prosecution prior to July of this year, when the Supreme Court made up this new standard that truly never existed. There's no other job description in the world where you are immune from prosecution if you commit a crime. But apparently, if you are president of the United States, you are. And so at the time that the case was going to trial and Judge Chutkan determined that there was no such thing as immunity, Donald Trump appealed that up to the United States Supreme Court. And lo and behold, they created this new doctrine called presidential immunity. And they finger wagged at both the DC Circuit and the district court judge, Tanya Chutkan, and basically said, and you didn't make a determination about what things were immune or not. And this is a very specific factual record that has to be made. And so they sent it back down and told the judge to do exactly what she's doing. And so, in order to make a factual determination, well, first of all, the first thing that happened was Jack Smith superseded the indictment, meaning he replaced the indictment with a new indictment that took out everything that would fall within this bucket of things that Donald Trump is immune from. And now there's only facts that involve things that he was acting as candidate for President Trump or in his personal capacity, not things that were in his official capacity. And so they superseded the indictment, still the same 4 charges against him. And they superseded the indictment. There was another case that came down in the interim, Fisher versus the United States, that talked about the standard for charging someone with obstruction of official proceeding in violation of 18 United States Code, Section 1512. Those are two of the 4 charges against Donald Trump in this indictment involve either conspiracy to commit that crime or that substantive crime. And they came out with a standard there as well, that it has to be, you have to have, in order to obstruct the official proceeding, it had to be something tangible, like a document. You had to create a false document or destroy a document, something that was tangible. And so that came out of a case that one of the Jan 6 protesters that went up to the Supreme Court. And so Jack Smith rewrote the indictment and took out all the charges that were, or not charges, but all the facts and evidence that would have been used that he can no longer use because Trump would be immune, and specified how the obstruction of official proceeding charges would comply with this new Fisher standard, because he created fake electoral ballots. That's creating a document. They're fake, they're false, they're fraudulent. And so what they're in the process now of evaluating this evidence, right? Donald Trump's making motions saying, "Oh no, Fisher, you have to dismiss those counts. That doesn't count. It doesn't apply here. So dismiss those counts." And he's basically also desperately does not want this evidence that Jack Smith has to put into the record because the Supreme Court told him to. They don't want this happening because he doesn't want it out in the public. So this morning, first thing in the morning, they filed a motion. It's President Donald J. Trump's motion to continue the stay of the order. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to essentially, Jack Smith did I think it was 180 something pages, or maybe even more, of all the facts about why it is that that this was candidate Trump, this was not presidential, and he's not immune. but there's an appendix to that document, and that appendix is has all the evidence that backs up these claims. And Donald Trump is so desperate to not get this into the public that he's begging the judge to say, can you wait until after the election? We don't want it out there. It'll influence the election. You know, they're going to cherry pick stuff, and it'll influence the election, and it'll influence future jurors. So let's just wait. Let's wait until after the election, when we're going to file our reply. And, we were wondering why they asked for a date after the election to file their reply. Well, now we know, because they want to file it with their facts and this. And after the election, who cares, right? Because they think that he's going to win. And so then all the facts can come out, and he doesn't care, because then in their mind, he will have won. So he's trying to push all this off so that people will not see what evidence Jack Smith has proving Donald Trump is guilty, that he knew that he had lost the election, and he was desperately trying to steal it, and would stop at nothing. And all of that evidence, it's like a bomb of evidence, right? It's one thing to say something, and it's another thing to have proof. That's what evidence is. Evidence is proof. And so when I was a prosecutor and you were a prosecutor and we were trial lawyers, we had proof beyond a reasonable doubt. You get up and you give an opening statement, and, your opening statement's just that. It's just words. It's what you think that the evidence will show. And that's kind of what Jack Smith's motion, his presidential immunity motion, is. But what's the trial about? It's about the evidence, and about putting witnesses on and putting evidence on and showing the jury exactly what happened. And that's what he desperately does not want to come out before the election. So that bomb of evidence was supposed to come out today, and they filed this motion. And I just want to read a couple of things from it, because one of the things that really struck me, in addition to the fact that it was just so clear that they don't want this out there, they also, one of the things they cited was my colleague on CNN, Ellie Honig, and this other individual, Jack Goldsmith, who had a New York Times article. And they basically, these two people were talking about how they believe that that putting this out into the public violates a DOJ policy called the 60-day rule. Now, most other lawyers disagree with that and say, no, that's not what the policy says at all. The policy talks about not doing something intentionally to influence an election, like if you have an investigation pending but you haven't made an arrest, or the investigation's not public, you don't make it public, or you don't make that arrest right, within 60 days of an election, because that could actually have an impact. But if you already have a pending case, which there is here, you already have a schedule, and you have a judge telling you this is the date that you have to do something, what are you supposed to do? I mean, the Supreme Court told Jack Smith and told Judge Shutkin to do this exact process. So
also, Karen, it was Trump's motions that made it drag out this long anyway, to begin with. Anyway,
you're right.
To throw that out there.
No, because you're right. You're 100% right.
You could have gotten this over with a long time ago.
But, it's just fascinating to me, because, like I said, Jack Goldsmith, his article got a lot of traction, but also a lot of controversy. And same thing with what Ellie Honig was saying, because most people, including Ellie Honig's former boss, Preet Bharara, and Joyce Vance, who was also a United States attorney, disagree that that's what the policy means. I mean, these were these were appointed by the president, United States attorneys, and they disagree. But, look, smart people, and they are smart, can disagree. But it's just fascinating to me that this appeared in the in their brief, that they're citing basically lawyers who are political commentators as
that's
their authority. Yeah, well, that's the authority that they're citing in this document. But it'll be interesting to see if Jack Smith responds, or if Judge Shutkin just, what they'd asked for was time to, quote, explore litigation options, right? And so what they finally ruled on, or what they finally came down on when they filed this motion for a stay, was basically what they said was, Judge, it's in your discretion. You have discretion because there's no law. They can't really cite law about why this should happen. It's not what the rule says. If the rule did say that, they wouldn't be citing political commentators, right? They'd be citing the law, but there is no law that says that. So they're just, it would be like citing me as an authority because I said something on CNN, like, it's great that I said that, but I'm not the law, right?
You're the last word.
Well, no, it's just funny to me, like that showed up in a brief, but again, no offense to me, but I'm not the law, right? So it's just interesting to me, like, they don't have the law when they're citing to people, and also the only thing they're saying is, well, you have discretion, Judge. You have inherent discretion. If that's the best they've got, they don't really have the law on their side, so they kind of know it. And I think that the judge is going to swiftly issue her decision. As someone said, I don't know who said it, but they said, yeah, the judge is going to issue a decision. They're two words: denied. Anyway. I know, I love it. So we'll see what she does, whether Jack Smith replies or she just denies it. But I think pretty quickly we're going to see the huge evidence drop from Jack Smith and see the proof that he has that Donald Trump basically, tried to steal the election. So and is trying again. So it's just crazy. So that's what's going on in Washington. Anything you want to say about that, Kathleen?
Just to be continued.
Yeah.
I mean, it's never ending. But look, there's only, election day is less than 3 weeks away.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, all I would say is, you can call yourself undecided, but I think most people know how they're going to vote. And so my final word would just be, just vote. You can't afford to just stay home and say, I'm just going to sit this one out, or I'm going to write in Joe Blow. Like, you got to vote. You got to pick a side. That's how I feel,
Yeah. Well, someone said to me once, and I agree with it, which is voting, when you pick a candidate to vote for, don't think of it like a marriage. Right? You're not looking for the love of your life. You're not looking for the person to spend the rest of your life with. Think of it more like picking what train to catch. You are looking for the train that goes closest to the destination you want to go at the
right time.
At the closest time that you're trying to get there. Right. And that is is right. So you might not agree with everything that Kamala and Kamala Harris and Tim Walz say.
Well, I've never voted for anyone that I agreed with 100%. Have you, Karen? I mean, come on. I never have, ever.
No, but I'm hard pressed to say anything negative about Barack Obama, who I just love more than anything. But
well, that's okay. But you're well within your right.
No,
but I think
you're
most
right.
people understand that you're not going to find the perfect embodiment of exactly what you want. Yeah. Because there are so many different political ideologies out there. And that's why I think you have to dig deep and say, okay, who is the closest to my core value system? However you define that value system, who's closest to that?
Yeah. You're right. You're absolutely right. And so vote, 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 vote.
In collaboration with the Midas Touch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories at the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.